So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. And if anybody else joins in, they'll just like kind of hop in from where we are at. Um, Hello, everybody. I'm Eli. I'm the current Hillel president, and I'm also joined by a bunch of other people on the board, including Hannah, who's the current vice president. And we're just gonna be, and thanks for coming to this interest meeting. Um, Showing, kind of showing that you're interested in leadership is really awesome. I've been doing it for 2 years on the board, been involved, and it's been like an awesome experience, like one of my favorite parts of college so far. So I'm excited for you guys to kind of like learn more about what it looks like. Um, and Hannah, you want to say anything before we kind of get moving?
Um, since we have such a small group, like feel free to just like ask questions. We can just have a discussion. A little, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, if you have any questions about anything, just unmute and kind of jump in. I know Zoom is awkward, so don't worry about, kind of pushing in, getting your question out, because we would rather hear the question than not. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So there's a bunch of board positions that kind of really envelop many different aspects, that some that you might not even knew went on in Hillel. So we have 9 different chairs, some that are new for this year that we kind of adjusted, and some that have been there in years past. And we're going to be kind of going through each one. But here's kind of a list of all of them.
We
Like I said,
changed we
yeah.
changed it up a little bit.
Yes, yeah. If some of them, if you look at some of them, you're like, what the heck is that? Um, that's because we decided to mix up a little bit from learning from this semester, and what worked online, what didn't work online. We decided to kind of change up the structure to make sure that we have the most success in the coming year. So like I said, we'll kind of go through what the details look like there. Alrighty, so first of all, just talking about the responsibilities as a whole of being on board. Um, Obviously, you become a leader in the Hillel community. So people will look up to you, like whenever they have a question, they're like, "What the heck is this or that?" in Hillel, they'll be looking to you to kind of help them out, and that's a really awesome thing. Like feels good for people to come up to you and be like, "Hey, what's going on with this event? Like, what are the details? Should I be there?" Kind of being a leader. So that's kind of what it means to be on board. And with that, there are a couple of responsibilities that you have to do. So obviously, when you're walking around campus doing your own college thing, being on board means that you represent Hillel in addition to yourself. So it's expected that you're not doing anything that would make Hillel look bad, anything, being rude or obviously like racist. Not that I would think that anybody would do anything like that would cause us to look bad, but obviously that's something that's important to us. Another expectation, which is contingent on the Hillel space being reopened, is serving on the building committee. So we're going to talk about that a little later, but basically it's kind of like a shift where you go into the Hillel space. If you've ever been there, there's probably someone there that was on the committee, but you go and you just kind of be the person that says hello to the person walking in and just make sure that the space looks neat and not crazy for just like 2 hours every week. So it's really easy, and it's like community service hours. So if you have any like requirements for those, it's also awesome for that. Additionally, as with being on any board, you have to attend weekly board meetings. The reason for that is we do a lot of things at Hillel. We plan a lot of events, a lot of things go on behind the scenes, and we want to make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on, can provide input, because in the end, the board is a collaborative space. We're all one team. So we want to make sure that, if you're planning an event, you need like maybe an aspect from Shabbat, like you're like, okay, I want to do this Shabbat prayer, something like that. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to go up to that Shabbat chair and say, hey, can you help me out with this? What should I do? So that's why we have the board meetings. And lastly, this isn't very big responsibility, but we expect that you would be able to attend a one-day retreat on the Sunday before the start of each semester, and that's used to kind of look at the overall goals of the semester. We found that as you start moving into the semester, it's really hard to kind of look at those bigger goals and like, what are we trying to achieve with these events? What do we really want to provide for the Hillel community? So this retreat kind of answers those questions and really gets everyone being more friendly with each other and like being more comfortable as a board. So those are kind of the responsibilities that go along with being a board member. Does anybody have any questions about any of those?
And I want to add something. The next term, the next 2 semesters especially, the board is kind of centered around collaborative work. So it's not like a explicit responsibility, but it's just something like to keep in mind that it's going to be. So we used to do a lot of like, okay, like this person will do this event, but it's going to be a lot of the positions are more theme. Would you say that word? I don't know, but it's a lot of like you work as groups on events. So.
Yep, definitely. And that's something that we're going to be kind of moving into more this year than we have in the years past as well. Cool. With that, we're going to go ahead and keep on moving. So we're going to go into the various chairs and kind of go in a little more detail. So the first one is president. So this one is probably the most self-explanatory of all of the chairs. So they serve as the head of the board. They're the ones who plan the meeting, who organize it, creates the agenda, kind of runs the meeting, and overall just make sure that the board is running smoothly. There's no conflicts with any of the board members. I think everyone is able to collaborate together. Definitely someone who delegates a lot. They also oversee the balancing of the programming calendar. So they're the one looking at, okay, we want X and Y events. What would be a good time to have them? Let's make sure we're not, bombarding our board members with too many events to plan. And also making sure that we're maximizing the amount of people that can come to these events, because we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to experience these awesome events. Additionally, it's the responsibility of the president to support any like resolutions in conflict with other people. Making sure that everyone can get along together is very important, especially with collaboration. You don't want anyone to feel like they can't reach out to a chair, so that's up to the president to solve. And you also represent our Hillel when discussing things with other Hillels in North Carolina and the international Hillel overall. So I've been in contact with like a bunch of different Hillel presidents around the state and around the country as well, and just like passing around ideas and seeing what has worked for them and what works for us, and making sure that we're all working together to have a better Hillel community. And lastly, the president supports like any fundraising efforts that we need. So things like baking drives or t-shirts making or anything like that. That would be kind of on the president's agenda. Are there any like questions related to the president chair, related to kind of their responsibilities or what they do? I can say that as president, I think it's an awesome chair, and it's like a lot of fun, but it can also be tough at times, having to be responsible for the entire board. So I think although it's challenging, I think a lot of people would be up to the challenge, and I would welcome anyone to apply for it. Actually, another thing that I guess isn't on the slide, but the president role is a role that we do recommend that you have been on the student board before, so you kind of understand the ins and outs of how it works before you jump into actually leading the board itself. With that, we'll move on to administrative vice president. Hannah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So this upcoming year, we changed it a little bit. Administrative vice president. So we kind of combined vice president and admin. So the vice president had the financial roles. They had working with the president, and it can kind of depend on like the president and vice president and their dynamics, and one can be like more internal, one can be more external, but basically working with the vice president, overseeing the board. They're going to have more admin roles, so take notes during board meetings if the president is leading, and it can be vice versa. But appropriations is just applying for like Senate Word Club and making sure all of our like standards and contacts are okay with that. Same with student involvement and money. So this is going to be, this chair is, we're going to have a lot of innovation and creativity and collaboration just because of Zoom and the ever-changing world. So it's going to be everyone's job, but the vice president is going to be like making sure it happens, kind of leading and starting those discussions. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about the administrative vice president? I would say this is a awesome role if you're somebody who loves to like optimize things. So like with the innovation and creativity, you're going to be kind of looking at the events that the board is creating and thinking like, all right, how can this be improved? Like, how can we kind of try something new? And kind of making sure that you're not kind of saying, okay, all right, we have like this Shabbat, let's keep doing next Shabbat, and like not really changing anything. You're going to be the one saying like, okay, where can we kind of improve things or at least try something new that we haven't done yet? And I guess that kind of goes along with like optimizing, like talking about the taking notes and kind of supporting the president as well. Alrighty, with that, we will keep moving. So Adam, would you like to talk a little bit about the communication chair?
Yeah. So okay, I'm not going to read too much off the PowerPoint because I can't look at screens too much. But basically, what communication chair has been, and I assume will be, it's a lot of creativity in terms of like engagement. So like Instagram, GroupMe, and I think even like emails for the next semester's communication chair. But like one goal of mine was like I did like Hillel, like humans of Hillel, and I would like feature somebody that was in Hillel and like write a little blurb about them just to like, you know, spotlight people that are in our Hillel community. And I made like a little like hype video coming into this year for Hillel, and just like creative things that go on social media that engage people. So a big part of that would be like creating graphics. If you're good at any particular skill, like that can be creative and that can be applied to this, that's awesome as well. Yeah, I think and the main thing is just like, you know, putting out stuff in enough time, like advance enough that people will see it before the event is like the main goal. Yeah, I think I covered that.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Anybody have any like immediate questions about that share? Like Adam said, that's like a really good one if you're any sort of artsy kind of person, because you get to make like really fun graphics. And if you've seen any of Adam's graphics this year, they have been fantastic. Or the video in the beginning, like you say, it was beautiful. Alrighty, let's keep moving then. Emma, would you like to talk about the religious chair?
Yeah, so for the religious chair, you're basically in charge of holidays. This year we're splitting up religious and cultural chairs, so your main focus is doing holidays and any religious traditions or education information that has to go out. So this year we did spring semester we did a Tu B'Shvat Seder, and I was in charge of organizing that, finding people to help lead, getting the parts together, working with Sarah and Dana, who will come back, for like different ideas of what to do that brings in traditions and talks about the holiday as a whole. And then this year you'll help with recruitment for the Religious Learning Fellowship, Havrucha, and other initiatives. Yeah, it's just a lot of holidays.
Yeah, that's definitely a really fun one, I think. people always, I've never like seen a religious or previously religion cultural chair that like didn't come out being like, man, that was an awesome chair. I had so much fun like planning all the holidays and stuff like that. So
Definitely fun. You can be creative with what you do for the holidays, so it's fun.
anybody have any questions about the religious chair or comments or anything like that? Alrighty, we will keep chugging along then. So next up is cultural chair. Avital, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was Israel chair, and this cultural chair position has like a lot of the aspects that my position had. So basically, organizing events around like Israel and Israeli culture and like different Jewish culture, and having programming on things related to like the Holocaust and things related to like spirituality and expression of religion, things like that. And then also some programming related to like Birthright and Onward, which are the programs of like traveling to Israel. And part of this position is coordinating with the Zedek Chair on issues related to Jewish diversity. And yeah, that's mostly it.
And with this chair, you can also do a lot of spirituality and kind of like be creative as well. We split up the religious and cultural into two and added Israel into cultural. And I mean, there are no like rules, you know, it can be a cool position. Thanks, Avital.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody have any questions about cultural chair? Any aspects of it? I think a good example of something that we've done in the past that would probably apply to this would be any of like the wellness events that we've done, like for the Shabbat Shalom, probably that would be working with the culture chair and the Shabbat chair, or any of like the yoga events we did, or the puppies. I forgot what it's called, but the one where we brought in a bunch of puppies at the end of or close to midterms last semester before spring break. That would probably go into this too.
Can I say something? So like, obviously like COVID, you know, it's gonna be around for a while. So like all these positions are like so flexible, and so like there's no bounds, you know, especially like it sucks that we have to do like a lot of stuff virtually, but like there's no bounds with like any of these positions. If you have no experience with, you know, Judaism, like being really religious, you don't have to be really religious to do a certain chair. Like there's really no requirement. It's like as much learning as it is doing, I think. Yeah.
Definitely said it perfectly. I completely agree. Anything else about the cultural chair before we keep moving? Alrighty, so move on to the Zedek chair. Keelan, you want to talk a little bit about this one?
Sure. Hey, y'all. This is another one of the positions that is changing a little bit. I was social action chair this last year. And basically what this chair does is it kind of works in the community in the realm of service and social justice, hosts events that support the Jewish people and or the local community. And now one of the new elements of this chair is that it will take on some of the anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment that the previously Israel chair did. So this chair will work with Hillel staff to address issues on campus related to anti-Semitism or anti-Israel sentiment. It will also do some civic engagement initiatives. Like right now I'm doing kind of like a voting drive in conjunction with mitzvot interns. It will coordinate efforts for diversity within the Hillel community, encourage efforts for diversity and inclusion both inside and outside of the Jewish community. And it will work with the Kahila chair and other chairs on that. And it will create and or share volunteer opportunities with Hillel members. Like people have talked before, volunteering, as is with everything, is a little bit different right now with COVID. So may have to be a little bit creative on that one, but there's definitely a lot of avenues for room and work with this chair. So yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about the Zedek Chair? Any of its responsibilities or anything like that? Yeah, and kind of along the lines of what I'm saying, we kind of changed it up to make sure that this chair was more broad. That way, even while we're kind of doing online classes and things, you still have a ton of room to be creative with the chair and kind of do things that you would be interested in, especially with like adding on anti-Semitism, anti-Israel on top of like kind of social action, working in the local community as well. All right. Then in that case, we're gonna keep on moving then. We'll go to Shabbat Chair. I believe this is Hannah. Would you like to talk about this one?
Yeah. So Shabbat Chair isn't really changing. They are kind of heading Shabbat. It's going to be more of a collaborative effort than it has been in the past. Usually the Shabbat Chair would kind of be the main person that would plan, lead, cater. We can't cater right now, but there's not a specific like amount of Shabbats that we have to do. But they can have a lot of fun with it, and they can, based on what Shabbat they want to do, they can collaborate with other members of the board. You can get people who aren't on board to help. You can do a lot of cool things, and you don't have to be like, you don't have to know all the prayers and know how services work. I was Shabbat Chair last term, and I had no clue, but it's fun.
Yeah, and a big thing with that one, because that one is sometimes seen as like a very big chair. Like you got a lot to do. Like, oh man, so many Shabbats. Like 2 Shabbats a month is so much. But you do get to kind of recruit and oversee your own kind of tiny board within a Shabbat committee. So those would be like people that help you plan it and help you actually lead the service. So it's not just you doing everything. And of course, on top of that, you have the entire board helping with various aspects. If you're doing some social action, you have the Zedek Chair. If you're doing something that has to do with some additional holiday that's maybe on top of a Shabbat, you can go to the religious chair, things like that. So it's very collaborative. Anybody have any questions about the Shabbat Chair? Alrighty. Let's keep moving then. Next is engagement chair. Johnny, would you like to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, so just to run through engagement chair, the basics of it are that you're trying to engage members of the Hillel community. So that looks like new students, whether those are transfer students or first years. That's done predominantly through planning and organizing Hillel Wolfpack Welcome Week or How Week, I guess. Also doing tabling and tally, which I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to that this upcoming semester, but that'll happen at some point during your term, most likely. And then really just acting as the representative for Hillel for anybody who has questions or wants to learn a little bit more about the organization. More than anything, it's just kind of trying to bring the people who are either not within the community, who are trying to be or on the fringes of it, bring them closer into Hillel and kind of give them a bit more insight to it. And then the other main piece of it is organizing and running the Big Wolf, Little Wolf program, which I believe most of you are involved on this call. So that's cool. And that's one main, and we are in the middle of that. So if you'd like to take the lead on that, then this is definitely a great position for you.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about engagement chair? It's definitely one that I think is really good if you really enjoy like talking to new people, like people that are interested in Hillel, like doing like kind of one-on-one things. I know a popular thing like before COVID was having like one-on-one coffee dates and going out and like talking to people who are potentially interested in doing Hillel stuff and kind of seeing what they would like to do and seeing if they want to be involved in any way.
And I think another point of that, which Eli just brought up actually, is that you have to like talking to people. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you're one of the people who doesn't enjoy that as much, this is a cool opportunity to kind of experience with it because it's very low stress. There aren't really any drawbacks or anything from a conversation, and you get to meet a bunch of people. So you don't have to love talking to a bunch of people at all by any means, but it's a cool opportunity to hate it slightly less, I guess, by the end of it.
Yeah, that's very true actually. Thank you. Any other question or any like last questions before we keep moving about engagement chair or any of the previous chairs if you have some questions? Alrighty. So next we have the community chair, which is a new chair that we've created for this upcoming year. Hannah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this one is more of kind of like an external outreach type chair. So they can work with the president. So the president and vice president are in like the executive committee, so they can work with them on being like the face for Hillel and reaching out to other organizations. We need a lot of like joint events. Kind of reach out and like see what's going on in the community. Yeah, be a representative. It's kind of an open role with those themes in mind. You can do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I would say additionally, like I'd say a primary focus of the chair is kind of reaching out to those communities at NC State that don't necessarily get the chance to be involved. Like Greek life is a really big thing that actually a lot of the people that are in our Hillel community are actually involved in. A lot of people are involved in Greek life, and something that we want to make sure that people in these other communities have the opportunity to participate in Hillel. So that's definitely like a big part of it, and in a similar fashion to engagement, but definitely on a larger scale.
Engagement is more of like an internal, and community is more of an external. That's kind of a way of thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody have any questions about this chair? Community. All right, awesome. So that is all of the chairs on the board. So it's all 9. And those are all ones that you can apply for through the application that is currently open. There are also other leadership opportunities if you're like, well, maybe I don't really see anything that I'm interested in. Maybe the board isn't for me, but I still want to be involved. Well, once the Hillel building is back open, we do have that building committee like I had mentioned earlier. That's something that's open not just to the board, but to any member of Hillel that wants to, you know, kind of give back a little bit, but in a lesser commitment. So you'd just be volunteering in 2 to 3 hours of weekly shifts at the front desk. You're just like greeting people, making sure everything is clean and safe, and just make sure that people feel like, you know, Hillel is the second home that we want it to feel like. Make sure that everyone feels comfortable and inclusive and things like that. And in addition, like we had mentioned with the Shabbat chair, you could join the Shabbat committee. So if Shabbat is something that you're interested in, but you don't know if you're necessarily ready for the leader, like chair of Shabbat or any of the other chairs in the board, you could join the Shabbat committee, and that'll like allow yourself to have a hand in the planning of Shabbat without necessarily having the whole commitment of being on board.
And also, always be on the lookout for like opportunities to want to do something but not be on board, because there will be some. But also, if you want, like, if you're interested in something, definitely like reach out to us. We can definitely give you a leadership opportunity. There are so many.
Definitely. So then, yeah, so that's kind of all the kind of leadership opportunities we have at Hillel. The application is currently open for you guys. So if you're interested in applying for the board, you just go to bit.ly/Hillel board, and they'll bring you to a Google Forms. It takes about maybe 5 to 10 minutes to complete, so not that bad at all. And The only thing that it kind of involves is you just have to sign up for a quick, like 30-minute meeting with me and Sarah Cohn, just to kind of talk to you about what you like want to bring to the chair, and just kind of talk to you about what you're looking for out of the board in general. Because we'd love to hear from you. So that's the application. It is due by Saturday, the November 7th at 11:59 p.m. So basically the end of Saturday. And the election itself is on November 8th, which is that coming Monday, so in a week, at the same time as this event, so 6:30 p.m. So even if you come out of this deciding that you don't really want to apply to anything on the board, I still urge you to go to the elections so that you can kind of get your voice out for what you want to see in Hillel, and kind of voting for the people that are applying. Plus, it's just a fun time to be able to kind of hear the cool speeches that people write and asking them questions and stuff like that. At least for me, I have fun. Are there any overall questions or lingering questions that anybody has about anything leadership with Hillel, or application or election, anything we've covered?
Eli, I do just have a quick question for you. Say the 9th, potentially. I'm not sure if you said Monday, but that would be the 9th.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, November 9th. Thank you. I don't know why I said they. November 9th. Monday, November 9th is